Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a question that is commonly asked, and that is, how do I avoid getting hurt again? Now, I know many of you have been through some pain in relationships, or you may have been betrayed, and it's certainly understandable why many of you may be reluctant to enter into the dating scene again once you've been hurt or you've been betrayed, right? Trust is a very important aspect in a relationship, and once that's violated, especially, it's very difficult for a lot of us to trust again. And so we're going to talk about that today on how we can avoid getting hurt again. There's a healthy balance of valuing yourself first above all others. It's having discernment when getting to know others well. It's taking things slowly during the early stages of a dating relationship, patiently waiting for a strong friendship to develop, and seeing if feelings are mutual before making commitment to the next level. If you have trust issues and fear vulnerability and transparency, then you may need to seek counseling to heal whatever unresolved traumas or wounds are from your past. Because as long as you continue to have trust and fear of intimacy issues, your heart will be in constant turmoil and be blocked by not being able to give and receive love in a healthy way. The sooner you heal, the sooner you will be able to open your heart, learn to love yourself, and then love others. The power is knowing and loving yourself first, so you can then have the appropriate discernment to allow the right people to have access to your life. Let me just say this again. The power is knowing and loving yourself first, so you can then have the appropriate discernment to allow the right people to have access to your life. Okay, so this is very important. I do want to stress, I want to emphasize the point that if you have serious trust and intimacy issues, that you've noticed this has been going on for many relationships. Okay, you see this pattern of having trust issues, and you're fearing the intimacy. I recommend that you get counseling. Okay, this is not going to go away on its own. There may be some healing that has to take place. And so if you've noticed this consistent pattern in all your last relationships where you know that you have trust issues, then I would strongly recommend that you go to counseling. Okay. What we're going to talk about today are those people who don't have major trust issues, but they may just be a little bit skeptical or fearful of entering a new relationship because of past hurts. And so they may not have trust issues, but they may just be scared. Okay. So this is what today's topic is about. Here are 11 ways to avoid getting hurt again. The 11 ways will be represented in the spelling of the words love me first. And folks, this is not a coincidence that I came up with this, okay? Um, part of getting part of avoiding to get hurt again is that you have to love yourself first. So we're going to go over this by the letters of the spelling of the words love me first. So L is lessons learned. Learn the lessons from your previous relationship. There is always a silver lining in the clouds, so to speak. Look for the silver lining. What important things did you learn in your last relationship? Because then you can be thankful for what happened and see how the lessons you learned help to contribute to your overall personal and spiritual growth. So, whenever a relationship ends, it's important to take some time to introspect and find the lessons to be learned. Remembering the lessons will help you to not repeat the mistakes going forward. Learning the lessons well will further empower you with wisdom and discernment to avoid getting hurt again. Okay, so again, when a relationship ends, it's fine to grieve, but during the grieving process, you need to figure out what lessons you could have possibly learned from that relationship. This is very, very important. This is part of helping to avoid getting hurt again. If you don't learn your lessons, folks, you will continually get into relationships where the lessons will keep repeating itself. In other words, you'll keep getting yourself into relationships until you learn the lesson. Okay? So just keep that in mind. The second one is the letter O for ownership. Taking ownership and personal responsibility of your part of the relationship failure. It doesn't matter how badly you were wronged in a relationship. You still need to take part in blame of what happened. After all, unless you were forced or coerced into being in your last relationship, you willingly decide to allow that partner into your life, right? Hey, this is not to make you feel bad about yourself, but to realize we all make mistakes in life. No one is perfect. So if you are still angry at your previous partner, then it's time to take ownership of your part and continue grieving. Feel the pain, forgive yourself and your partner, and free yourself from the prison of the victim mentality. Okay? In my previous videos, I've talked about the victim mentality. Okay. And that this is what usually happens when people don't take responsibility or any part of a failure of their past relationship. They tend to have this woe me victim mentality, which basically means you're the victim and it was everybody else's fault and the world owes you and everybody owes you and you just and you basically feel that you did no wrong. It's always everybody else's fault. It's everyone else that you're blaming. That's not healthy, folks. Okay, because unless you were forced or coerced into that relationship, you willingly accepted your part to be in that relationship, right? So you have to take some responsibility. I don't care if it's just 5% and you want to blame the 95% on your partner. The key is you have to take part responsibility. It's very important in your healing process and your grieving process so you don't get stuck in the anger phase. Many of you who haven't gone over a relationship, you're still angry at your partner. This is why, because you haven't looked yourself in the mirror, faced reality, and take responsibility for your part of the failure of the relationship. Okay, so this is very, very important. If you can't get past this anger, okay, then you're going to have trust issues, and then you're going to carry that baggage, that emotional uh, baggage into your next relationship, and that's not fair to the future partners that you have. And until you get a handle on this and heal this, you'll continually make the same mistakes, and you will repeat this pattern of behavior. Okay, so take ownership and grieve. If you can't bring yourself to take ownership, then I recommend you go to counseling because there's going to be some stuff there that you need to heal in order to get to the point where you're able to take ownership and grieve. Okay? Okay. The next letter is V. Value yourself. The most important thing out of all these 11 ways to avoid getting hurt is to value yourself. Valuing yourself means always being true to yourself. Speaking your truth and standing in your truth, even if that means standing alone. Valuing yourself also means being kind to yourself, surrounding yourself with people and things that make you happy and give you great joy. It's waking up every day with a smile on your face, putting your best foot forward, focusing on making your day the happiest it can be by thinking and doing things that nurture your spirit and warm your heart. It's never allowing others to devalue you or make you feel you're not enough. It's a daily commitment to practice loving yourself so it becomes a permanent habit. And as this routine becomes a habit, you will know yourself well and most importantly realize you are enough. Okay? So folks, like I said, valuing yourself is very important. It's basically what we're talking about is to love yourself. Okay? Um and um and by doing that, you'll be able to find happiness from within. And if you haven't seen my previous video, my last video was just on the first step to happiness. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend that you go and take a look at that video. It does talk about the steps, how to find happiness from within. And all that has to do with loving yourself. Okay, so the next letter is E, embrace reality. Embracing reality is facing the truth of what is. It's realizing the lessons learned, acknowledging your share of the blame as you work through the grieving process. It's coming to a place of acceptance of reality. People who get stuck in the victim mentality are imprisoned by their anger because they are still blaming others for the failure of the relationship and think the world owes them. I just talked about that. Okay. So um and they haven't yet taken ownership for their part and instead remain locked in anger and are not able to successfully move through the stages of the grieving process. They remain hostages in the anger phase of the grieving process. So the sooner you can embrace reality, the sooner you can reach the final stage of acceptance in the grieving process. Okay, so let me just repeat this again. By accepting reality, embracing reality, we mean you need to come to the reality that it's never just one person's fault. Okay, there's two people excuse me, there's two people in a relationship. Okay. Unless you were forced or coerced to be with that person, you willingly entered that relationship. You chose to be with that person. Okay. So you have to take ownership for your part, whatever, however small amount that you think it is. You need to take ownership of that, and embrace the reality that of embrace the reality that you were also responsible for the failure of the relationship because of the mere fact that you allowed yourself to entertain the relationship and to enter the relationship. Okay, so the reality is it's never just one person's fault. You need to embrace the truth that the reality is that there are two people in a relationship and it's never just one person's fault. Okay. All right, the letter M, make your happy list. Making your happy list is a key part of your healing process of learning to love yourself and the first step to your happiness. I recently did a video on this called First Step to Happiness. Please check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Finding happiness from within as opposed to looking to others for your happiness is super critical to finally healing and being truly happy. When you make it your daily practice and priority to love yourself by being happy, you will finally be ready to love others in a healthy way. When you learn to love yourself, you will no longer allow unhappy and toxic people to have access to your life. Loving yourself is a foolproof way to avoid getting hurt again in relationships. So start loving yourself today and make your happy list now. Be sure to click on your left top corner after this video, which I think it's going to be over here, your left top video, um, after the video to view the first step to happiness. Loving yourself is a foolproof way to avoid getting hurt again. Okay, so I talked about this just a few minutes ago. I just did a video on the first step to happiness, and it's the first step. It's in the first step to happiness is to make your happy list. So please check out that video after this video is done. It'll be on your top left corner. E for expect the best. To expect the best is having a positive attitude so you're going into a new relationship with a clean slate, an open heart, and a healthy outlook in life. It's designed to put your best foot forward in a new relationship and is free of past hurts and fears. Let me say this again. To expect the best is having a positive attitude so you're going into a new relationship with a clean slate, an open heart, and a healthy outlook in life. It's designed to put your best foot forward in a new relationship that is free of past hurts and fears. Remember, healthy people gravitate towards healthy people. A healthy partner will not be attracted to you if you're in a negative mindset and still holding on to your past and fearful of the future. Having a positive attitude will go a long way to attracting the right partner and to building a healthy, happy, successful relationship. Expect the best will help you avoid getting hurt again. Okay? F for forgive and forget. Forgiving and forgetting is a process. There is no time limit on how long it will take. It will vary depending on how traumatic the breakup and the level of pain was felt by each person. Realize to completely forgive and forget may take time and may not happen for a long while. It would be nice if we could forgive automatically and quickly, but that's not reality. We are only human and it will take time to process the hurts and emotions to forgive. So, I'm sorry, let me say this again. We are only human and it will take time to process the hurts and emotions. So to forgive is not something that happens instantly, but it's important to acknowledge and begin to forgive and forget as part of your grieving process to eventually heal. Okay, so now this is something that a lot of people ask. I think a lot of us are under the impression or the false impression that forgiving and forgetting means that we need to do it right away. That once we forgive and forget, we'll just automatically have a happy heart and we won't have hard feelings anymore. Well, folks, let me tell you, that's not the truth. That's not reality. We are human. We have emotions, and depending how badly we were hurt or how long we were in that relationship, it's gonna vary per person, and it's gonna take time. Okay, I'll be honest with you. And even if it's not a romantic relationship, we can be hurt by just family and friends, right? So whatever the hurt, whatever caused the hurt and the pain, and when you have to forgive and forget, just realize it may not happen quickly. Okay, I know there's been people that have wronged me in the past. It may have been a previous um, uh, coworker or a boss. Okay, it could be anyone, not just a romantic partner. But I do recall in my past, there's been people that it took about 3 years for me to finally get over the anger and the bad feelings. Okay, and I'm not proud of that, but I also acknowledge that we're human and we have to forgive ourselves. We have to just realize that it's okay to have those feelings. It's not okay to act upon the feelings, right? If you have hateful feelings or anger, it's not good to act upon it in a negative way. And it's certainly not good to harbor grudges and feelings of hard feelings forever, right? But certainly for a year or two, or however long it takes, whether it's several months or a couple of years, it's certainly it's acceptable that it may take that while, it may take that much time to finally stop dwelling on it and feeling triggered by it every time you think about it or if someone mentions it. Okay. That's how you know when you're over something, is when someone talks about something of your past that hurt you and you're able to talk freely without any angst, right? If you're over something, it won't bother you. It won't trigger you to get angry or emotional. When you truly have when you truly have forgotten and forgiven, you're able to just talk about something in your past as if it's just another story in your life without being emotionally triggered to an extreme. Okay. So that's just another hint for all of you who, if you are in the dating phase and you meet somebody new, if you notice the person's talking about their past and they're still got a lot of hidden anger and emotions behind their speaking, just realize they have not healed yet completely. Okay. And it's going to take time. Okay. Um, and so just want you to keep that in mind. Okay, the next one is the letter I. To identify your needs. Be clear about what your needs are and what the deal breakers are. This is important so you don't lose yourself in a relationship. When you lose yourself, you forget who you are and become codependent to your partner and then end up accommodating your partner's needs while ignoring your own needs. Okay, let me just stop right here. This is what codependency ultimately is. If you don't remember who you are, you get lost in your relationship, you don't identify what your needs are to begin with before you enter a relationship, then it's very easy to forget what you stand for, what you believe in, what the deal breakers are for yourself. And you end up losing yourself and you become codependent. You end up just focusing on your partner and everything that makes them happy. And you do all you can to please them and to meet their needs while forgetting your own needs. This happens a lot, folks, especially to us women who are the people pleasers in life. Okay. Or it's not just women. There are men that are people pleasers. Okay. Just you need to guys, you all you guys need to be careful and realize that before you enter in your relationship, you need to identify your needs. And folks, this is how trauma bonds are formed, because you are trying so hard to be liked, hoping to seek the approval of your partner while forgetting who you are and what your needs are, especially those of you who are people pleasers, which I just talked about. You people please to a fault, and then that's how you slowly lose yourselves in your relationships. And later you will feel resentment and unhappy because you're not feeling fulfilled in your relationship. Okay? So again, there's nothing wrong being a people pleaser. It's a wonderful trait that many of us have. It's great to be able to accommodate and be accommodating and to please people. But we got to be careful that we don't please people on steroids, meaning we please people to a fault at the expense of our own happiness and at the expense of forgetting what our needs are. Okay? Very important. So by identifying your needs, it will help you to avoid getting hurt again in relationships. Okay, R for reciprocity. Reciprocity in relationships is one of the factors that keep a relationship healthy. It's the natural give and take in a relationship where both partners are contributing to the relationship, so it's mutual. Both partners are actively engaging in building and maintaining the relationship by giving and receiving regularly. In a relationship where reciprocity is missing, it's a one-way relationship. where only one of the two partners are getting his or her needs met. In a healthy relationship, there's an equal partnership, like a two-way street, where reciprocity will ensure mutual feelings and respect. Okay. Um, this is another thing that I often hear, questions that often hear from a lot of you is, um, how do I know if my partner likes me? What do I need to do so I know my partner feels the same way as I do? Folks, a relationship is a mutual relationship. It's a two-way street. If you have to make somebody like you, it's not the right person. Okay? No one should have to force somebody or try to persuade somebody to be to like you. Okay? You are fine. You are enough just the way you are. You are lovable just the way you are. Okay? If the partner you're with cannot see your value and you feel they're ignoring you, or you're confused of how they feel about you because they're giving you mixed signals, or they're not giving you any signals at all, and they act like they're uninterested, folks, that's a red flag. Okay? Never second guess your own worth as a person. So it's important to realize that reciprocity is key. If you sense after a few weeks of spending time with a new partner, and you notice that partner is not being responsive, or they're not reciprocating, okay, they're not showing you also that the feelings are mutual, you need to let that relationship go. Okay? Reciprocity is very, very important, and that will also help you to avoid from getting hurt again. The last thing you want to do is get into a relationship where it's just a one-way relationship, where you're the one doing all the investing, you're the one putting in all the effort, and you feel your partner is just, you know, not doing anything, and they're just going along and they're just going along and accepting your part of the relationship while they're not investing in it as well, and that's not good. Okay? It's got to be a two-way street. Okay, the next letter is the letter S. Set boundaries. Setting the boundaries means setting a healthy standard for behaviors in relationships and not allowing others to cross the line to harm you mentally or physically. It's being self-aware of your emotions and knowing when something doesn't feel right or if your partner has violated your boundaries. We must be self-aware and pay close attention to how we are feeling in a relationship. Healthy relationships bring out the best in us, and likewise, an unhealthy relationship will bring out the worst in us. It's knowing when to address and resolve conflicts to maintain a healthy relationship. And sometimes that may mean seeking couples counseling if a compromise or solution can't be mutually reached. By setting boundaries, not only are they an effective way to protect ourselves, but they also prevent toxic behaviors from taking a foothold into our relationships. Okay, so let me say this again. Healthy relationships bring out the best in us. And likewise, an unhealthy relationship will bring out the worst in us. That is key, folks. If you find yourself in a relationship and you're not sure if your relationship's healthy or not, pay attention to how you're feeling. Okay? Your feelings will tell you a lot. A lot of times we stuff our emotions and we don't want to believe what we're feeling. If you feel that you're not being treated right or you're not being valued, and every day your relationship is not bringing out the best in you, you find yourself frowning or angry more than happy and laughing, that's a red flag. Okay? You don't need anybody around you to tell you, to give you their opinion. All right? Just pay attention to your own emotions. See how you feel every single day. Is this relationship bringing out the best in you? Okay? If it's not, it's a red flag. And this is all part of setting the boundaries. You do not want to be in a relationship where it's toxic, where people are constantly um, making you feel bad and emotionally abusing you. And so you have to set boundaries. Okay? And sometimes that may mean seeking couples counseling if a compromise or solution can't be mutually reached. Okay, that's another thing that's very important. If you cannot reach a compromise, if you're in a argument and you try to communicate to your partner and you still cannot find a solution or a compromise, you need to go to counseling. Okay, there's no way that time will not solve the problem. The issues need to be resolved. If the conflicts don't get resolved, it's still there. Okay, so now at this point you're just wasting the time. You're avoiding the inevitable, which is eventually you need to resolve the conflicts. You don't want to ignore it and then go into a marriage or a long-term commitment or move in with somebody only to find out later that you're not getting along, things are getting worse, or your relationship's getting more toxic. And meanwhile, the conflicts are still unresolved. There's no gain there, folks. You need to both of you will need to go to counseling if you can't resolve conflict in a healthy manner. Okay? Or if you can't find a compromise. You need to go to counseling. And by setting the boundaries, not only are they an effective way to protect ourselves, but they also protect toxic behaviors from taking foothold into our relationships. So, what I mean by all this, by setting boundaries, if you notice your relationship is getting a little off key, meaning when you go to, if you have a disagreement, you're trying to resolve and find a solution, and the communication is getting toxic, or there's name calling, threats, inappropriate anger, okay, any of these kind of things, if it gets when you notice that it's becoming toxic, that's a time that you need to set your boundaries, which means you're not going to tolerate a disrespectful, rude behavior. Okay, which means when an argument gets to that level, you need to walk away, take time to cool off, and maybe try to come back later as a team and discuss it again. But the main point is you're not going to sit there and tolerate abuse of any form, whether it's verbal or physical. Okay, so that's part of that is setting the boundaries, is when you don't tolerate uh, toxic behavior. Because if you don't set your boundaries and you start tolerating toxic behaviors, it will eventually escalate and things will get significantly worse in your relationship. And you don't want to be living like that at all. Okay. So the sooner you can set your boundaries, address it. You have to go to counseling if you can't resolve it, then that's what you need to do. Okay. All right. The next letter is T. Take time. Taking your time and being patient to get to know yourself well. Don't rush your partner in the relationship or allow your partner to rush you. Remember the 4 stages of a dating relationship. It may take up to 12 months or longer to go through all 4 dating stages. It takes time to see your partner's flaws and how both resolve conflict and if there's enough compatibility for a long-term committed relationship. In my opinion, most relationships fail due to the deterioration of the friendship, or there wasn't a strong enough friendship to begin with. Many couples rush into physical intimacy before taking the time to first build the friendship. Romantic love, or what many refer to as chemistry, is not real love. The romantic stage of a dating relationship usually happens during the first 3 months. It's important for couples to be patient and realize that real love is what may or may not develop after the romantic stage fades and morphs into the next 3 stages. Be sure to check out my video, 4 Stages of a Dating Relationship, to learn more about the stages so you can be prepared to date successfully. You've heard me say in my previous videos, friendship is the foundation of a relationship. While being in love during the romantic stages feels wonderful, it would behoove you to realize that it's the friendship that will ultimately determine the happiness and longevity of a relationship. Therefore, taking the time to exercise patience will go a long way to avoid getting hurt again. Okay? Um, so T for taking time. T for to take time. This is very important to avoid getting hurt again. Okay, in summary, love me first is not only the 11 ways to avoid getting hurt again, but it can also be your new mantra as a powerful reminder to always love yourself first. You will have discernment and be ready to be in relationships that only serve your higher good. So let me repeat this again. Love me first is not only the 11 ways to avoid getting hurt again, but it can also be your new mantra as a powerful reminder to always love yourself first. You will have discernment and be ready to be in relationships that only serve your higher good. No more settling for losing yourself in toxic relationships and allowing those who are unworthy of your love to have access to your life. Therefore, starting today, let your new mantra be, love me first. Okay, folks? I actually enjoyed this video. I think it meant a lot to me. And it really touched me when I've been hearing questions from all of you about, how to avoid getting hurt again. It's definitely, I think, a subject that was worth talking about. Many of you share these feelings, And many of you maybe just maybe even numb at this point because you don't know what to do because every time you get in a relationship, it just doesn't work out or it ends and you're still angry and you're frustrated and it just seems like you're not getting anywhere, right? So I really believe, maybe go back and re-listen to this video again and maybe take down some notes. I really believe love me first is crucial to avoid getting hurt again. And by following all those ways, those 11 ways we just talked about, will definitely prepare you to be the best version of yourself entering a new relationship. Or if you're in an existing relationship, it's still not too late to go back and review all these ways of how you can be more ready and be more prepared to succeed in your existing relationship. Okay. So folks, if you liked this video, please click like, click share. If you have any comments or if you want to share uh, anything that resonates with you on this video, please put that in the comments. If you have any questions, I will answer them. And please remember to subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of all my upcoming videos. So folks, thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.